Death of a family member can serve as a reason to have your penalties removed. It is right. Death of a family member can serve as reasonable cause. And though it may sound at this time to be self-evident, to be clear to you and to so many other people, that death of a family member should serve as reasonable cause so that penalties don't have to be paid, I have to tell you, after 34 years of handling serious tax problems for folks and working through the resolution of those problems, that thousands of people have come to me over that time and have faced my question, which is, what happened in your life during these particular years that may have disrupted you from filing your tax returns on time or making your tax payments on time? And they will respond to me by saying, geez, I don't really think anything happened. And it's only after I drill down into those periods and ask that question in a more specific way that I will hear about a death of a family member. And then it comes out. Then these folks will say, well, my gosh, I was very genuinely, specifically disturbed for an extraordinary period of time. And I wasn't able to deal with that for a year or two. And that's how people have a tendency to shut out those things that happen, which are remarkably negative and emotionally distressing in their lives previously. So it may sound like it's self-evident now, but if you had a death of a close family member in your family, ask yourself whether that contributed to your not making your tax return payments on time or filing your tax returns on time. Because that circumstance is recognized as being that deeply foundational to the way that you live your life on a daily basis and the way that you meet your general responsibilities in a reasonable way on a daily basis. And it can serve as a justification for not filing or paying on time, which means that you won't have to pay the penalties that the IRS assessed. Now, if you've been assessed penalties for 6 or 7 years and that death upset you for 1 or 2 years, then you can't use that as a, if you will, excuse for all of the years, but it certainly will apply to the years where you were upset in that fashion. And you can save those penalties. You can avoid having to pay those penalties unnecessarily, and in the long run, it does keep money in your pocket. So it's very genuinely worth pursuing that challenge for those particular years. And remember, you can have other reasons in your life, other justifications for the removal of penalties for the other years too. Because one particular excuse does not have to apply to all the years that penalties have been assessed. And that's particularly true for your first-time automatic right abatement, because you can have that in the first period of time and then use your reasonable cause excuses after that. Here's the other thing. When we talk about death of a family member, we're not talking about death of a family member that is living under your roof or living with you. That person can live outside of your home, and that person can be an in-law and not necessarily a blood relative. So you have a fairly extensive community of folks that fall into this category, if you will, and you need to understand how far-reaching that circumstance may actually be. Because if it does affect your life, if it does prevent you from doing what you otherwise reasonably would have accomplished, then you have reasonable cause. And you have to look at it that way. Now, this is true for all circumstances that can be supportive of a reasonable cause determination. For instance, illness, and we've said this many times. Serious illness can serve as reasonable cause. And illness means medical as well as psychological. And serious is something that you have to present. You have to present it. So if it's seriously impacted in your life, that's the way that you present it. And serious does not have to mean permanent. It's something that could have been in place for a period of time and then remediated or resolved itself. And that's the case, for instance, many times with serious automobile accident-related injuries, which are not permanent in nature, but certainly which do disrupt and upset lives during the time that those events take place. Now, you have the right to call us. We make ourselves available for your telephone consultations so that you can work through some of the questions that you may have, or some of the statements. You may want to just bounce statements off of us to see what our reaction is within the context of whether there's reasonable cause and how to present it. Because that's what you have to do. You have to help educate the IRS about how it is that these disruptions in your life affected your ability to meet your responsibilities. And we can help you with that. And we can provide you with the outline of what it is that you tell us that you went through. And then you just have to fill in the specifics. And if you went to see physicians, you would just include the physician names. You would include the dates that you saw the physicians. But we can help you make that presentation in a compelling, persuasive way. And we can provide the document assistance that you need too. So, I understand that these are emotional, personal issues, and they're difficult for people to, if you will, work from start to finish at a single sitting. Don't worry about it. You'll be able to do it in several different attempts when you consider it, and then reconsider it when you have a few additional moments thereafter. And with our consultation, you'll be able to complete it. And you'll be able to complete it in a persuasive way. Thank you.